welcome to another episode of the Six Figure Vet Podcast, where we showcase the success stories of Black and Brown veterans who have successfully unlaced the boots. Today, we got someone truly exceptional in the building. Quinton McNair, retired U.S. Army Master Helicopter Crew Chief, and now the CEO of Strugglebeard Bakery. Quinton dedicated over 24 years of service to our country, completing 5 combat tours and excelling in roles like Senior Drill Sergeant, the Sexual Assault Response Coordinator, and Aircraft Technical Inspector. But his story did not stop there. After hanging up his uniform, Quinton poured his heart into serving his community, from creating online curricula to speaking at closed Senate hearings. Okay, let's get into it. Advocating against sexual violence. During the pandemic, in the midst of navigating PTSD, depression, and a tough transition into the civilian life, Quinton discovered a new passion, y'all, which is baking. What started as therapy turned into a booming business is now a Hyde Park staple. Since opening his Strugglebeard Bakery storefront in 2023, Quinton has served up love and baked goods to some of the biggest names, including McDonald's, Salesforce, the Chicago Blackhawks, and even more. He's been featured in the Chicago Sun-Times, the Tribune, even CBS, NBC, and WCIU. Let's give it up for the man who went from flying helicopters to serving the sweetest slices in the city, Quinton McNair.
Hey, it's a sway in the morning kind of introduction. Oh, now I'm letting me feel good about myself today.
Listen, we're going to hype you up. If we don't do nothing else here at Six with That Podcast, we're going to hype you up. We need that. So I always like to start each and every episode with a mental health check-in. So how are you doing today?
So
now, he been cutting up before the cameras even started rolling, okay? I just want to throw that out there.
So it's funny that you asked. So I'm glad that you asked, because the mental health journey is the reason why all of this started. I'm having a bit of a difficult time right now. I lost a friend earlier this year to cancer. I have a friend fighting for her life right now with cancer. And my goddaughter's mom just passed from cancer. So I kind of this past week, I took a mental hiatus, took a break from posting all the time on social media and stuff like that, just to chill out, gather my emotions and thoughts, and then get back in the fight. Because that's one thing you never hear about when you hear people talking about how to run a business, how to be successful with your business. They don't tell you how to navigate that while you're grieving.
How do you especially when it's your creation? It's different when you're working from somebody else and somebody else's vision, but when you are, I hate to call it a single point of failure, but you are the main person. Where is the room for you to be human? Where is the human aspect in your business that allows you time to breathe, right?
Your relationship with your customers. I have a very open relationship with my customers. If you look at my social media page, I post as myself on my business page. So my business page is infused with all my personalities. One day you might get a delicious picture of some brownies. The next day you might get I'm having a hard day mentally. So when you build a real relationship with your customers, you kind of build that tribe. I think that's the thing I was missing from that military tribe that I had. So I've rebuilt that with the customers. And I can share anything from delicious baked treats to, hey, I'm having a hard time. And I'll get support from people who've actually never physically stepped foot into my store, or who I've never met in person.
Yes. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with building their brands, is that they try to, in this world where you have to niche down, you have to be, specific, you have to stay on topic. Okay, if my business is me and it's a part of me, why can't I share who I am through it?
Not to mention that's a great point. Not to mention, okay, I bake. You can get cookies, cupcakes, and muffins anywhere.
Yeah.
Why should you get them from me? People want to know that any business they support, that it's ran by a good person, or it's ran by good people. So when you just share your business, it's only about business. They know nothing about you, and they know about the product. I believe a great deal of my success is due to the fact that I shared myself with the world. I shared my mental health issues. I share when I'm doing bad. I share when I'm feeling great. It's more than just a cookie. You get an actual person.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I want to buy from you because I know who you are. Now you my cousin. Now you my internet
I mean, what you
cousin.
waiting on? www.strugglebeardbakery.com. Place your order now.
We gonna put that in the show notes, okay? So, okay, now we figured out, how you're doing today. This is already so good. Where were you prior to being in the army? Like, what were you doing? Give us a backstory about your history prior to putting on a uniform.
Prior to putting on the uniform, I was a black kid in Chicago, trying to figure out what I was going to do with the next step of my life. I started off going to magnet schools and gifted programs and international baccalaureate program to almost not graduating high school and being homeless. So this bright-eyed kid who wanted to be a lawyer, who wanted to be an actor and stuff, and had all these dreams, all that kind of trickled down as I experienced the trauma that a lot of young black men experience in Chicago. So the
Mm-hmm.
army was my last ditch effort. It was I didn't have anything else. I didn't have anywhere else to go. I knew if I stayed in Chicago that I probably wouldn't make it. I came home to a lot of dead cousins, a
Yeah.
lot of classmates that didn't make it. So
Yeah.
before the army, I was just struggling trying to figure out life.
Yeah. So was there like a certain like moment that made you be like, all right, I can't do this. I got to go to somebody's recruiting office, or was it like as soon had you already decided from like a certain age, like that phrase, like okay, to get out of here, I'm just gonna join the military when I turn 18, and
It
that's gonna
was
be it.
just so from the time I graduated in May to the time I went and saw the recruiter like a couple weeks later, it was just a culmination of events. I knew I wasn't going to college. I
Yeah,
knew even if I did go to college, I wasn't going to be ready.
yeah,
So it would have been to me a waste. I knew if I stayed at the time where I live, it was called the Orange Doors. It's like on Cedric. It's in between the red and the white bricks of Cabrini Green. Back in 1994, Cabrini Green. Cabrini Green was still up, and it was still Cabrini Green. Candyman Cabrini Green. um,
that's what that is.
you know that do your Chicago history. But yeah, it was a bad place for me. I had no protection. I was like the only person in the neighborhood that wasn't either a GD or a vice lord. So that
That's
was the only way you
crazy.
got protection is if you was in the gang. And I went to school with them. I hung around with them, but I wasn't one of them. So I was constantly getting jumped and picked on, and having to fight. I had to fight my way out of Chicago, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. One day, one of these fights is going to turn into more than a fight.
Yeah,
I could be
easy.
dead. I think one of the deciding factors was I had been working all summer in the Chicago City Summer Program, and I got my summer check. Well, that was the first time I had money to buy school clothes, so I was going to be fresh. I was going to go.
Yeah,
I was going to the mall. We went to malls back then to go get to buy my fits, and I got stuck up by gunpoint, and my whole check was gone. And when I say gunpoint, I mean gun right. I'm staring down the barrel of a gun, and my whole check was gone. Like that scared the shit out of me. And like after that, I was like, I can't be around here. Even when I'm minding my business, even when I'm trying to
even
be
when you
good,
minding your business.
disaster seems to try to find me here. So I had to get out of
Yeah. So let's talk about your jobs entering into the military because you have a very wide range of occupations in the
there.
military.
Yep.
Um but I really, really want to get into like, okay, so let's talk about your experiences as like a crew chief and doing the stuff with the helicopters and how you migrated into like sexual assault, or did that come first?
Well, no,
Just
no.
let's break that down.
So first, I was actually a 13 Bravo field artillery cannon crewman, and that's when I had super high score. I had a high GT score, a high, but I didn't know anything about the military. So the
Of
recruiter
course.
sold me whatever job they were short at the time. So I could have been
I
a
want to get a recruiter on here because stop aiming at young black kids that don't know nothing and you know they smart.
right. I could have been a linguist. He could have recommended I went to warrant officer school, anything, but nope, he filled that quota. At the time, I just wanted to join the military to get out of Chicago, possibly get money for college. But then when it was time for me to reenlist, I had a kid on the way, and I was thinking, okay, if I do get out, I need a skill that I could do something with, and that's where the helicopter crew chief came around. So re-enlisted, became a helicopter crew chief, worked my way up the ranks from crew chief to maintenance team leader to technical inspector to maintenance floor leader, all the way up the.
Wait a minute. So you was finna get out?
I was.
And it ended up turning to 24 years.
It ended up turning to 24 years. I realized after my first 4 years, I hadn't done anything. So my first 4 years in the military, I was still that dude from Chicago. I was still fighting people. I was still wilding out. I was still more worried about my respect than I was worried about my career. I almost got put out twice. But it took a black NCO to see that I was hurting. And like, that wasn't really me. That was me lashing out, trying to find myself. And he would always straighten me up whenever we talked. Like anytime I got in trouble, he pulled me to the side and straightened me out. And that, I had never had like anybody invest in me like that.
Yeah.
So that was the turning point in my military career when I decided to make it a career. I was stuck at E6 for the longest. And I was like, I need to do something to set me apart from my peers. So I volunteered to become a drill sergeant. As soon as I volunteered, I was stuck in a Camel Korea deployment loop. I would deploy for a year. I would come back. I'd go to Korea. I would come back. I would deploy. And like, to get out of that loop, I had to volunteer to be a drill sergeant. So that was like the start of my maturity, really, because I was still kind of a knucklehead in those years. But I went to Fort Jackson thinking that a drill sergeant was what we saw on TV and what my drill sergeants did to me. So, back in 1995, when I went to basic training.
I'm going to put it in big, bold, like the whole thing, right? Every time you do that, I'm going to make sure people know exactly what you're saying.
That was like last century. Ooh, oh, man. Like I thought the drill sergeant was like my drill sergeants treated me. They was very rough, very insensitive. Like they were still bumping their hats up against the bridge of your nose, stepping on your hand when you're doing push-ups, sneaking a jab in every once in a while. And that was cool back then. I thought that's what being a drill sergeant was. And then, all the movies that we see, like Major Payne, Full Metal Jacket, drill sergeant was just a yelling ass motherfucker. That was it.
What is that movie? This Is My Rifle.
That's Full Metal Jacket.
Listen, I knew then I'm not going to the Marines or the Army. Sign me up for anything else, but ain't nothing gonna be my rifle. How they did, oh boy.
It's interesting because in that movie, he ends up killing people and killing himself because of his mental health. Because of his mental health. Wasn't worried about his mental health. They was like, we're gonna break you, and that was it. If we can't break you,
and they did.
So I kind of had that mentality when I went in. And what was my turning point as a leader, and what made me want to be a sexual assault response coordinator? I volunteered. I was kind of voluntold to be my unit sexual assault advocate at the lowest level. So basically responsible just for the people in my unit and getting them to the people that could actually refer services and the help that they needed. I had a problem child in my unit. It was this little girl who, when we went to reception to pick her up, she had pink hair. So she had, before she could come to the actual basic training, they had to square that away. And when I tell you this kid was a problem, she was a problem. She was always fighting. She wouldn't listen to nobody. She was quick to buck up. She had attitude, all kinds of things. So they would always send the problem kids to me. So they sent her over to my platoon. She was now my property. I did everything I thought I could do as a drill sergeant to get her to straighten up. She wouldn't straighten up at all. But something was telling me there was something more under the
underlying issues.
So I was ready to like send her home. She would not do right. She couldn't get it together. But like something was like, talk to this kid. So I did something we're not supposed to do. I took her to my office. They're never supposed to be alone. They're always supposed to be in battle buddies. I had her battle buddy wait outside the door. I sat her down and I took off my hat. And I was like, what is wrong? What is really wrong with you? What is going on with you? And she told me that she joined the military to get away from home because she had been gang raped before she left. So here I am. I claim to care about people. I claim to care because I would tell the soldiers, yeah, I do care about y'all. Yeah, when y'all graduate, y'all gonna be going to combat right beside me. I want y'all to do good. I want you to succeed. I said that, but I wasn't really believing it. Because I couldn't figure this little girl out. I was about to send her home back into the same environment she joined the military to get away from.
Away from.
Yeah. So that made me realize I need to stop yelling as much and start listening sometimes. Find out the
Yeah.
reason why you were here. And I actually weaponized that. I would find out the reason why people were here. And when they couldn't get that last mile on the PT test, when they couldn't get that last round,
You would use it.
I would use it against them. I was like, see, your wife or your sister or whoever, whatever reason you were here, they wouldn't be happy with you right now. They wouldn't be happy with you out here sucking and crying and all this stuff. So instead of screaming and yelling all the time, I would use the reason why we're there to motivate them to succeed and do better. So it changed me as a leader. It changed me as a person. It also made me realize that the SHARP program in the military, I always thought it was a joke. I thought people didn't take it seriously. But then I realized that with the right person in charge, it can be very powerful. You can help a lot of people. You can do a whole lot of good. So after I left Fort Jackson and I got to Fort Campbell, I volunteered to be the unit's sexual assault response coordinator. So that means I was in charge of the program for my whole brigade, about 3,500 people.
Yeah. So you the person that they send people to now.
Yeah. Yep. And it was on me. It was on me to create the atmosphere of the program, to make people feel safe to come talk to us, to do training that wasn't the same. Most training beforehand was death by PowerPoint, and that got nothing. Most training beforehand was you should not do it because it can affect your career like this, or you could go to jail, or UCMJ says so. I started attacking it from a more human aspect. Versus you shouldn't do it because it's wrong. You shouldn't do it because you wouldn't want this to happen to your daughter or your mother or your sister. You should do it. You shouldn't do it because you want to have healthy relationships. You should do it for your mental health and this and this and that. So instead of a trainer, I became a facilitator, and I even took classes to be a actual facilitate, and I would facilitate discussions. People knew what the regulations said. They knew it was wrong, but why should they care? And that was the kind of thing I tried to create.
That's good. And I'm pretty sure, so once you implemented those changes, could you see a difference in the responses?
100%. 100%. So the commanders, they either loved me or hated me. So, you're required to believe in a program and have buy-in into the program, right? So I had what I called actual buy-in and required buy-in. You had commanders who would go through the bare minimum of motions because they had to. But then you had commanders who actually believed in the program and they never gave me any issues. The atmosphere changed. The amount of reports went up, not because
of course, because I'm not scared no more.
Right. And some people say, oh, that means the amount of incidents went up. No, more people are comfortable coming forward and talking. And then eventually the amount of incidents went down. So I affected change on
in a major way.
Yeah. But also, I also became the go-to person on the installation for the stuff that I was doing. People would come to me and ask me to go to their unit and do training. When it came to do installation-wide events, I was always on a committee to do the installation-wide events and do stuff for more than just my unit. Whenever we got the phone, oh man, we used to get the hotline. It was like once a quarter, we would get the hotline, and that was the entire installation phone. So after duty hours, no matter what unit the soldier belonged to, if they called and you had a hotline, you had to respond. So there were times where I had to meet a survivor at the hospital to get a safe kit, or to help them fill out the paperwork and stuff like that. So that was like the most impactful thing that I've ever experienced in the military.
How do you, because sexual assault amongst the ranks, shout out to Dr. D. She's over here on the East Coast. You probably know Dr. D. She has a Glass Soldier nonprofit and for-profit business that actually addresses sexual assault amongst the ranks. But as it relates to sexual assault amongst the ranks, where does the accountability towards your battle buddy or towards your fellow airman or your fellow soldier or sailor or shipmate, how does that like play into it? I hope I asked that in a
No,
good
no, I hear what
context.
you're saying. I think it actually played into it in a negative way because
Mm,
most people, it's just like most men don't hold other men accountable for the messed up stuff they do.
yeah,
The most that they'll do is like, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with me. Versus,
yeah.
what the fuck are you doing? What is wrong with you?
What is wrong?
I preach that. I preach that if you witness it, if you have a friend that's doing something and you have the power or the influence over your friend to stop that,
The
change that,
influence.
then you're just as wrong as them.
Yeah,
If you let it happen and you have the power or the influence to do it, you're just as bad as the person is.
yeah, yeah. Most definitely. So so you do this for how long? Up until the end of your career?
So you're only supposed it is a high burnout job. You're only
Of
supposed to do it
course.
for 2 years. You're only supposed to do it for 2 years. I
I
was
can
getting ready
imagine.
to retire, so they let me do it until I retired. So I did it for 4.5 years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and it was emotionally draining. At the time, I was raising my daughter by myself. My daughter came to live with me through her high school years, and at the
Okay.
time, I was raising her by myself, and like I was scared to let her do anything because my eyes were now open to like the most horrible thing that people can do to each other. And like everywhere she went, I saw it. Oh, at the gas station, you go to the grocery store, at school. Oh my God, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, it got to the point where I had to go to therapy for myself, and then we had to go to
Mhm.
therapy together to kind of to deal with the taking on other people's emotions, and then that turning into fear, and that affecting the way that I parented.
So what year did you retire?
2019.
Ooh, bam, you fresh out, living your best life. You done tried to grow a beard and everything, and then the world stops. A
Yeah.
couple months after you retire, the world decides to stop. Tell us about the depression, the signs, and how you even recognized it as a Black man.
So in the military, like there's this stigma of you have to be tough,
Yeah,
especially in the Army and the Marines, that you never go to sick call unless you're dying.
yeah.
So mental health, I didn't even think about mental health until I became a SARC and I started recommending other people for mental health. That was the time the stigma was taken away from me, about around going to getting mental health and going to see the mental health nurse. Um, After retiring, no, before I retired. So before you retire, now it's easier now with the ACAP system and Soldier for Life programs for you to get all your
Hmm.
medical stuff taken care of. And
Yeah.
I remember I had to go get my mental health evaluation. I was like, I'm good, I'm straight. I'm like one of the toughest soldiers, this and this and this and that. And I went to go see this psychiatrist, this white woman, had nothing to do with the military. They had recommended me to go somewhere off base for my
Hmm.
mental health evaluation. And I remember sitting in her chair thinking I'm cool, and then 10 minutes later, I'm in this woman's office crying because she quickly and easily dug up not just issues from the military, but the trauma before I joined the military,
Yeah.
and me realizing like, man, something is wrong with me. And then looking up and she didn't diagnose me with PTSD. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
When you hear about PTSD, you think about
Yeah.
the worst case, the movie cases where you're waking up in cold sweats and you're having flashbacks of combat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't often think about the traumas we experience growing up. You often don't think about like the intrusive thoughts that might not be super apparent. Like you might not see it because I have this ability. The military teaches you to wear a mask. So I have this ability that when I'm in front of people, I'm my smiling, normal self. But as
And
soon as
let's
I'm
take it
that battery powers down.
and let's take it a step further. The culture that we're raised in teaches the same thing. So not only is this mindset very toxic, mindset is embedded in me as a child. And I'm raised in one of the toughest neighborhoods and worst neighborhoods that's been on the highest worst list in America multiple times, multiple years. Now I go to the military and then I'm in this combat zone and then I deal with this sexual assault. But I'm told like that I'm not supposed to like, it's not supposed to affect me in any way.
Right. Or I thought it wasn't supposed to affect me.
Right.
Because of, like you said, of the culture that you don't go to sick or go
Culture.
seek help unless you missing a leg or arm. You got to be really bad to go to sick call or go to the hospital. And it's hard to, once you're indoctrinized, it's kind of hard to take that out.
Yeah.
So even though I knew it was okay to go get mental health, that mental health wasn't for me. Other people needed to go. I'm
Yeah.
good with my issues and my problems, and I have no issues with it until I'm at home by myself in 2019 with no way to interact with the outside world, with no purpose anymore, with nothing to keep my mind busy. So
Yeah.
in the military, you're always busy. Sometimes you don't have time to be depressed because you got to go do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, go home, get some sleep, get up and do it all over again.
All over again.
Now, here I am with all this time on my hand, and the intrusive thoughts are just like kicking my ass. So,
Yeah.
it's the feeling of not wanting to do stuff, not motivated to do like the simple things that you do, having a little joy in doing. Like I love building stuff. So the reason why I was a helicopter mechanic and I started doing car maintenance, I started doing home improvement stuff. I wasn't even wanting to do the stuff that I actually enjoyed all the time. I would be sitting in my basement watching TV or playing Xbox or drinking for days.
Yeah.
and was having a super hard time with that. And then you ready for the story of Strugglebeard Bakery?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I'm at that point in like 2019, towards the end of 2019. So there was this girl I thought was cute, wanted to talk to. We had talked a couple times. She posted a recipe for a cookie online. So I was like, boom, that looks easy. I could do that. I used to fix helicopters. What's a cookie?
Not a helicopter to a cookie.
A helicopter to a cookie, but there's a relation. We're gonna get to that later too. So I invited her over. I baked the cookie from scratch, and it was trash. I didn't know you're supposed to separate your dries and your wets. So I threw it all in that together. When I say it was grainy and sandy, yeah. So
And you done presented this to somebody.
yeah. And she was like, "Oh, you get an E for effort." Well, long story short, we didn't really work out. I'm not gonna say it's because of the grainy cookies, but I don't like to fail. I am not a quitter. So I tried baking that same cookie over and over again. Then I started baking other cookies. Then I started baking, I think it was cakes next. Then I started making muffins, cupcakes, pies. Every week I was trying several things a week. And when I was doing it, the intrusive thoughts were not intruding. Like I'd be I'd be music playing, singing all loud and off key, Drew Hill ad libs,
Hey.
baking, and then it was also my key to the outside world. So at that time, social media was our only way to be in contact and stay in contact with people. So I would show these failures, these lopsided cakes, these little flat cookies. If you go to my page, you scroll way down.
Oh, we are. Oh, trust me. Oh, we are.
Circa 2019, 2020. Yeah. You see that I've grown immensely as a baker. But as a joke, so Beard was struggling with depression and PTSD, and the baking was struggling. So every time I posted something, in Chicago, this is a roasting city. We roast people, we roast ourselves. So as a joke, I would hashtag everything Strugglebeard Bakery. So eventually I actually got good. Those lopsided cookies and cakes started to look good. So people started to ask me to send them things. I started shipping. People started asking me to bring stuff to events. I would bring stuff to events. So it got to the point where at the time I was a HR manager for a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
And it came time to renew my contract. And I was like, I think I want to try this full time. So I quit the job and I dove into the baking full time. And that was in the end of 2020. I think I shipped my first cookie officially as an LLC in December 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Um, by 2023, I was making enough to look for a brick and mortar. I had outgrown my kitchen. There were contracts and jobs I wanted to get, but I couldn't because I didn't have a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
I was making enough from shipping every month to afford the rent in Hyde Park. I don't know if you know anything about Hyde Park in Chicago, but that rent is high up there.
Yes.
So from never baking from scratch before in 2019 to like let's fast forward to this summer. I had done everything. I had been on several TV channels, as you mentioned the reels. Uh, honored by
Like that.
the Blackhawks. Had I think the ultimate, like the top event, the best thing where I knew like I really have something here was me being invited to cater at the DNC.
Yeah.
So it was like
Wow.
I went from crying and baking in my kitchen to catering at the DNC.
The
Yeah,
DNC? That's insane.
that's history. The DNC hadn't been in
That is
Chicago in like I think like 40 years. So this was literally a once in a lifetime event.
literally,
Lifetime change. Yeah.
that literally is. So, tell us the journey. So, a thing that I really, really think is dope about the guests that I have on is y'all create something out of most of the times literally nothing. Like generations of just like beautiful whatevers are birthed in y'all minds, and to see like you execute it so beautifully as you know what I'm saying, a Black man, as a veteran, is really inspiring. So tell us about the journey in collabing, getting some of these major brand deals, getting invited to the DNC, McDonald's, the Blackhawks. Like how do you put yourself as a business owner in position to be able to do something like that versus you saying, okay, I got this idea, I think it's cool, I'ma do it, from that all the way into, okay, I'm a businessman, so let me position this business in a position to where it's going to thrive. What does that look like, and how did you do that?
So a couple of things. One thing it looks like, one way it looks like is by ignoring my business coach. So I have, so I latched on to mentors who were doing good stuff, but also have a
Yeah.
business coach who was all about the money. She was like, if it doesn't make money, then you shouldn't do it. If you're not getting money in return, or if you're not getting paid for it, don't do it. And I ignored that. I did the opposite. I made myself available to the community. I gave what
Yeah.
I didn't have. We have this advantage of I'm retired, 100% disabled. I don't have to worry about paying my bills. So
Right.
that puts me in a position better than, a lot of Black business owners start off, because we know it's hard for us as Black business owners to get the revenue to start our business. So a lot
Right.
of people, when they go off on faith, they're hoping they can use this business to pay their bills. They're putting everything into it.
Yeah.
It was a little easier for me because I knew I had a fallback.
Yeah.
I often augment payroll and stuff for the business with my own money. So that's one of the advantages. Another one of the advantage is male privilege. So I am
What?
100%. I'm 100% aware of my male privilege when it comes to this particular business. I
Let's get into that. Elaborate.
I am a disabled veteran Black masculine male who bakes.
Yes.
I think that is part of
Yes.
the allure of what I do. If I
Your
was
unicorn.
if I was an effeminate male that bakes, I wouldn't get as much attention. If I was a Black woman making the same cookies, I would not get as much attention. So yeah, I have a little bit of privilege, but keeping that in mind, I feel like I have a responsibility as well. because I am an anomaly in the baking business. I have a responsibility to give back. So that's why I give back. So the other way I position myself is by making myself an asset to the community. Hyde Park, it's a lot of business going on in Hyde Park. You can go there and try to make money off the community, or you can go there and try to be a part of the community.
Yeah.
My intent was never to get rich off the community. I wanted to be a staple in Hyde Park, like some of the other dope Black-owned businesses that I
Yeah.
saw there. I went in with the intent to build a legacy versus making money off the community. I volunteer. I speak as much as I can, and eventually I'm gonna get paid for it, but I'm not worried about that right now. I speak as much as I can. I had 3 speaking engagements last week, 2 at high schools talking to young Black men that look like me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I volunteer products, so causes that I feel are worthy. And that puts me in a position like one of the people I volunteer a table for is the Black Entertainment Sports Lawyers Association. And I donate every year for the past 3 years. I've donated like $1,000 spread to them. They're giving scholarships to young Black lawyers. One, it's a dope program with some dope people, and I get a lot of business from it. So for me being there, volunteering my time and my product, I meet other people who are doing big things that like what I'm doing, and I get business off of that. So
that's dope.
Yeah. So by giving of myself, even when I'm still in the infancy stages of my business, but we're still operating in the red, I've met and had all these opportunities. And then people want to, when you do good stuff will come to you, and people want to recognize you. People want to be a part of that journey. And just that continuance of, I've written community service into like my business plan. It is a part of our business. This is part of our ethos. This is a part of our energy. We're all
I love that.
giving back to the community. And then in turn, the community 100% gives back to us.
Feeds back into your business and you. Yeah. That is a bar, and that is a gem. I think the biggest connection that I have ever made have always been made when I was in a giving stance. So to hear that you have, figured out a way to incorporate that into a business plan and make it a part of the culture for your own business, I love that. I think that's really, really dope. Now, Quinton, we talked about how you kind of struggle with your mental health after leaving the military due to COVID, and how Strugglebeard Bakery was actually very pivotal in kind of boosting up some of that morale. So being a business owner, and we kind of talked about this before we started filming, but being a business owner is hard and mentally taxing, and we don't talk about that enough. So how do you overcome mental health funks while you're running a business? I saw you made a post like a couple hours ago yesterday, like, yeah, what y'all been on Beyonce's internet, because I had to take a mental health break.
And that's it. Knowing that I don't always have to smile for the work.
Yeah.
Knowing that I have a very energetic personality. You would never think that I'm an introvert by the way that I interact with people. I'm an extroverted introvert. I'd rather be somewhere chill, doing something chill. But if you put me in front of people and around people, I easily adapt to that and become the life of the party. But it's a realization that I don't always have to be like that it's okay. So whenever I have mental issues or I'm having a moment, I take a moment to myself. I'll be okay with the feelings and emotions. I'll be okay with crying. I'll be okay with grieving. Accepting and acknowledging your emotions as part of a grieving process or the process of whatever it is that you're going through is helpful. Like I might be mopey at the time. I might be down for a couple of days, but the fact that I acknowledge these emotions and I acknowledge that these emotions are a normal part of that grieving process, I'm okay in the end. And then I have people I can talk to. I have people in my life.
Come on, community.
My best friend, my sister friend, my daughter. I just have people where I can unload on. Like nobody likes an emotional like an emotional dump. But I have people that I can emotionally dump on. I can just call and complain and bitch about everything. And they're like, yep, Yeah, yeah, I got you, brother. Yep. So that takes place in my therapy. I don't see an actual therapist because I have people who let me speak, let me validate my feelings. Um, and it helps when you don't hold all that stuff in. I think the biggest issue that I had in the military is that I was holding all that stuff in. The biggest issue that
Yes.
I had when I first got out is I was holding all that stuff in. Nobody knew that I was in the basement moping with dirty socks on. Breath stinking.
My toothbrush had seen it
but
in a couple days.
but now I can call my brother up and like, man, bro, look, man. Or I can call my child person. I call a child person and be like, hey, yo, look, man. Or I can call my sister and be like, hey, yo, look, man. And just get all of those feelings out instead of holding them in and letting them fester and spoil and rot.
Yeah. Yeah. What has been one of your biggest stumbling blocks faced since opening your business or your brick and mortar?
So externally, it would be finding the right staff, the right team. Um, I had to adjust my expectations of people because coming from that military background, you come from a system where everybody knows their job for the most part. Because we now had our
Disclaimer.
leave forms lost. So, but you come from where everybody has a function on the part of the team, and everybody knows their job. And if you can't do that job, you get your counseling, your evaluation. If you can't do it, you get replaced.
Yeah.
Trying to find the right team for the bakery so I don't have to be there every day has been my biggest struggle. Like it has been a revolving door of people and their issues and them not being able to deal with their issues and it trickling over to the bakery.
Yeah.
I've come to the acceptance that I am going to have to be there all the time until I find this right team. I was in denial about that first. I was like, ooh, I can believe in this person. This person has my back. And then a month later, that person is no longer working for me for whatever reason, whatever circumstances. So I know I've been super greedy by expecting all this awesomeness in the first year in like the infancy stages of your business.
You want a bunch of little Quintons just walking around.
Right. I'm still in the building stage. I have to build that. But that military, that being a drill sergeant, being a sergeant, that comes into play too, because I know how to build leaders now. I know how to draw out that potential that's in somebody. But sometimes I'll have somebody working there for 3 weeks and I've realized, well, there's nothing to draw in this person. So externally finding the right staff, the right people who will free up my time where I'm not baking or I'm not in the bakery so I can do other things for the business. That's been the hardest issue. The other thing has been the dealing with depression and loss and stuff while running the business. Losing a close friend this year, all the issues that I've been going through, and you still have to drive and push on. Like I should have like several advertisements up for like my karaoke Wednesdays or my Christmas box. I haven't put out the advertisement or anything for my Christmas box yet because I took a moment. But you have to take those moments to reset because I have what I call a breaking point when I'm at work. So sometimes I'll be at work or and be going through some things or just exhausted and tired, and I'll get to the point where I'll start to mess up. Like I'll start to mess up recipes that I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, even with the recipe card right in my face. So that's my body and my mind's way of telling me to go sit down somewhere. So once I get to that point, I will literally leave. Even if I have like a whole big order that I have to finish, I'll leave. Because in the past, I would try to power through that. And it'll be all trays of brownies and fell on the floor.
It's like that cookie you gave that girl and why she left you because it was grainy.
Wrong, just wrong, too soon. But yeah, realizing when it's time to just pause and refresh and get some rest and re-energize and then go back into the fight. Because if you continue to fight where you have no energy, you're gonna be looking like Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul.
Listen, we're not gonna do that to Mike because he is old. He almost died this year. Give him a break.
Died in that rain.
He did, but we ain't talking about then, okay? He came and he laid it down. All right. He tried.
Yeah.
But I think your awareness about your mental health is a very is probably your superpower, especially as a Black man. A lot of the Black men that I know, especially in the military, I have a lot of military friends. It's all veterans do, and they're Black because that's, you know, it's kind of given. A lot of them, they don't know how to be honest about their mental health, or honest enough with themselves to admit it, and so they're suffering greatly, and they don't know how to stop because they don't want to be honest and admit, hey, something's wrong here. I feel this way. Or another thing I want to really take time to point out is the fact that you mentioned when you did go see professional help, that she brought out things that happened in your childhood.
Right.
A lot of times I think people feel like you can only have PTSD if you've been in a combat zone, and that's not true.
And a lot of times growing up, it is a combat zone.
It is a combat zone.
Literally a combat zone.
For real. Like, it's a whole combat zone, especially from like high crime rate areas. And we could get into a whole nother
And generational
topic of
curses. So
you took it out of my mouth.
Combat zone in the house, combat zone outside the house.
Outside the house,
Where is your safe space?
in the community, at school, at home, everywhere you go, is like you're in defense mode. You're literally living in adrenaline your whole life,
Right.
and don't even realize it. And that is so dangerous.
That's
so dangerous to your mental health, but your physical health as well.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what happened to me. I was in adrenaline mode for 40 some odd years, from growing up in Chicago to being in the military. And then when I retired and that adrenaline had nowhere to go and I had to power down, all the intrusive thoughts was like, hey, bro, we've been here the whole time. But now that you're sitting down, let me holler at you.
I got something to say.
They had hands. They was on me.
I got something to say. And
like,
that's literally...
Okay, reveal this.
Right. What's up? Let's talk about it. So, what do you got coming up? Because this is going to come out before the holiday, before Christmas. So what do you have coming up? What can the people expect from Strugglebeard? Tell us what you got going on.
So we've now, in efforts to be a part of the community even more, we now have events every Wednesday. So we have cookies and karaoke, which is always a good time. Whoever comes and sings the first song, they get a free treat on the house. No alcohol served, but if you come in with a Stanley cup, I ain't gonna ask you what's in it.
We gonna mind our business.
we gonna mind our business and sing our songs. I just know if after a few sips your ad libs get a little louder, we cool with that.
And beauty.
So we also have movie nights. We're going to play a couple of Black Christmas movies on Wednesdays. We also have rock band nights on Wednesdays where we break out the Xbox and the guitar and all that stuff. And we tend to go through all the Black songs. Believe it or not, rock band has a lot of Black songs. Like they have, it's like karaoke with a guitar. So they got Whitney Houston on there, Snoop Dogg.
I was going to say Whitney.
Stuff. Yeah. We also have an anime night. I don't know if you believe it, but I'm a super nerd. I love anime. We'll have a Christmas gift box coming out pretty soon here, where it'll be an assortment of our regular treats plus some chocolate dip treats, which we normally don't do, that we reserve specifically for like gift time season. We should have a partnership. So I'm adamant about supporting other Black-owned businesses. Yes. But right now, I use Uncle Nearest in one of my cookies. Oh, we didn't even talk about the cookies. So
let's get into it.
Oh, look. So I'm a bourbon lover. Love a good bourbon. And during that time when I was depressed and trying to figure out what I was going to do after the military, I drank a lot. So often when I was baking, I was drinking. At some point in time, I discovered that vanilla extract was nothing but vodka with vanilla being soaked in it. And you put vanilla extract in everything. So the way my mind works, I was like, okay, I got this bourbon right here. What flavor
Let
could
me
that
see what
be?
that one.
Yeah. So I got into trying different types of liquors with what I was baking to see what kind of flavor profile it added to it. So and then my whole series of cookies were born. Most of my cookies have a top shelf liquor or bourbon in it. So one of
Ooh.
those is Uncle Nearest, which is in a cookie that is made exclusively for the Sophie Hotel. You can't even get it in the bakery. I use Alexander James bourbon, which is a black-owned bourbon from Chicago. Um,
Come on, black owned brands.
there's Renard Whiskey, another black-owned brand from Chicago, who we're currently putting something together. Before the end of the year, we're going to do what we call a cookies and cocktail, where he'll come and he'll make cocktails, and then I'll have desserts made with those cocktails. Um, we have
I'm about to move to Chicago.
slide through. We have an event called a bacon sip, where it's my version of a paint and sip, where
Ooh.
you get to bake 4 mini bundt cakes, and it's paired with 2 cocktails. And you use the ingredients from the cocktails in your baking and in your icing. We play games. We have a little charcuterie board. There's music, so it's a good time. And not to mention like the various holiday catering that we're doing for people, the events that we're volunteering for, all kinds of stuff. So it's always busy at the bakery.
Yes, Miss Quinn is booked and busy. These sound like such amazing events. So are you still shipping?
Oh yes, we will never stop. We started shipping. The
Oh.
cookies ship all over the country, all over the country. They come vacuum sealed, so it doesn't matter if it takes 3 days to get to you, which normally that's about the time frame with the priority shipping that we use, or if it takes a week to get to you. They're fresh until you pop that seal. You pop that seal, and that smell just.
Say less. We are going to put your website for ordering right here in this bio, right here in the show notes. Tell the people where they can reach you at.
So you can reach me at Strugglebeard Bakery on all platforms, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. We don't do Twitter no more. We done with them.
Yeah, we done. They
We're done with
fired.
the Twix. Shit. I'll go back to MySpace before I go to Twitter. Yeah. My website, www.strugglebeardbakery.com. If you Google Strugglebeard Bakery, I should be the first thing that pop up because I'm all about my SEOs and all that good stuff. Or
Come on, black man.
you can come to the bakery and get things that we don't ship. So you come to the bakery at 5221 South Harper Court in Chicago, in Hyde Park, where we have more than just cookies. The first thing you'll see is our motto that says we're more than just a cookie, we're an experience. So we got everything from merch, coffee cups, whiskey glasses. Right now, I have a partnership with an artist, and her line is called Dear Brown You. So another one of our mottos is life is a struggle, but you make it better. It's on our coffee cups. So she took that motto and she created a branch of her clothing line inspired by my military service. Most of the stuff is like green and camouflage, but she's incorporated the life is a struggle, but we make it better. Nicely printed on the stuff with Strugglebeard Bakery and Dear Brown You together. So that's Dear Brown You, Dear Brown YOU. Y'all go check her out. She has some dope stuff, and she's currently creating an art piece for the bakery as well. So
this is just exciting. Let me just give you your flowers one more time. You have created something so dope, something so amazing by being authentically you and by being honest in your truth. And I pray prosperity all over you, black man, because you are deserving of it.
Toast.
I don't got nothing to toast with, but this has been another amazing episode of the Six Figure Vet Podcast, where we showcase the success stories of Black and Brown veterans that have successfully unlaced the boots. The Six Figure Vet is out.
Hey y'all, it's a Six Figure Vet here. If you or any other active duty service member or veteran that you know is suffering with suicidal ideation, substance use, or mental health disorders, please tell them to call 988. The number is 988. There are trained crisis responders waiting to take their calls. You don't have to suffer in silence.